You would think with reviews like this, the studio and the director would have a lot more faith in Blue Beetle, but instead, every indicator suggests that they think that this movie's going to flop. I mean, right now, you got 82% Rotten Tomato score from the critics, which doesn't seem too bad, but then you dive a little bit deeper and you see it only has a 71% amongst the top critics. Still not so bad, but I mean, when you consider that this only has 77 reviews from the critics so far, and they generally start off higher than what they're going to get, this is also pointing to it being bad. Of course, that's just the critics. I mean, we all know the audience score is ultimately what matters because, I mean, look at movies like Super Mario Brothers. I mean, that had a low critic score, but I mean, it did really well with audiences and made over $1 billion globally, so maybe we'll see that happen with it too. Then we got this article right here from Variety. Blue Beetle aims to end Barbie's box office reign with $30 million debut. See, it's going to surpass Barbie as the #1 box office movie. I mean, if you look at the box office mojo, I mean, you see Barbie made $13.1 million last weekend. So yeah, it should be able to beat that if it got a $30 million opening, except for the fact that this movie cost $120 million for an unproven, unknown superhero movie in a time when superhero movies are basically becoming a dime a dozen. So do they expect this to actually surpass its budget or even just make any money? Because I mean, when you think about it, with the $120 million budget, tack on another $100 million or so for marketing, let's say $80 million for marketing to be generous. That means they need to make at least $400 million in order just to break even, because the movie itself doesn't get the entire box office take. They get about half of the box office take. So yeah, that's why you get $400 million in order just to break even, which isn't the greatest thing for this when it has a $30 million debut. But again, we don't know what's going to happen with this after. If it does get $30 million, and the movie has some big legs underneath it, then maybe it will do good. But instead, you get stuff like this from the director where he's saying like, oh, well, people should feel welcome watching this movie. Don't be afraid of Latino heritage. Why do you think people are going to be afraid of Latino heritage? Do people actually say that they're afraid of them? Maybe it's just the fact that people aren't interested in this. I mean, we put our heart and souls into it because we wanted you guys to feel welcome to our stories. And this is according to the filmmaker in article from Hollywood Reporter. The filmmaker said at a fan event at the TCL Chinese Theater in Hollywood Tuesday, "There's no fear. Don't fear Spanish. Don't fear Mexican heritage. Don't fear Latino heritage. We want you guys to join the party with us." Oh, great. So I was afraid of seeing a Latino movie, but now I'm not. I mean, really, is this the kind of desperate attempt that you're going to say, I get it. He has to cheerlead his movie. It's his movie after all. And I'm sure he did put his heart and soul into it. But again, why do you have to market it like this? I mean, why do you have to market it on the ethnicity of the characters? Because frankly, in modern days, no one actually cares about the ethnicity of the characters. You only get people around Hollywood and stuff like that who actually care about that sort of thing and that sort of representation. All we want as an audience is a good movie. Now, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I do prefer them to actually make original characters if they want to have a different ethnicity, because, I mean, I think it doesn't matter too much, but some people think it's important. So it's like, fine, you want to have a Latino character? Make a Latino character. Just don't race swap characters. I mean, you don't want to see a Latino Superman or something like that, which would be hilarious, but that would rightfully get mocked. I mean, we've seen the mockery from Snow White recently. So yeah, you would see that too. But I mean, if you're going to make a original character, then yeah, I'd rather that happen and I'd rather it succeed. But again, this just looks like a generic superhero movie. I mean, nothing too special for it. And that's kind of why I think that they're trying to do the whole different, like hiding behind the ethnicity of it, because when directors and studios do this, I think they have less faith in it that it can stand on its own. So they're more or less trying to use various groups as shields in order to deflect any criticism. But I don't think it's going to happen with this. This is one of those movies I feel if it came out 10 years ago, people would have really liked it. But instead, from what I've seen in the trailers, it just looks very generic. Like we've seen the origin story a million times. I mean, there's nothing impressive about it. I mean, there's nothing in here that actually makes me interested in wanting to see it. And then you got this from apparently the Blue Beetle director rescued it from his streaming debut. And this is reported from MovieWeb. Blue Beetle director fought to turn the tables, rescuing the film from HBO Max streaming fate to deliver a cinematic experience. Now tell me, do you think the studio actually has faith in it if they thought they were just going to dump it on the streaming service, or they were planning on dumping it on the streaming service? And when they set out to make the movie, did they make it with that intent? So at best, this is a movie that they basically made from the get-go to be on the streaming service. And at worst, it's something that they saw after the movie was shot and they felt oh, well, we can't put this in theaters. We don't want to waste money doing that. Let's just put it on streaming service. Either way, it's not a good look for this. I mean, and like I said, with the director rescuing it, yeah, I agree. A director should do that because it's his movie. I mean, he should be the cheerleader for it and he should champion it. But it doesn't look good for us as an audience member to see a movie like this when you hear news from this where the director apparently had to fight for it because the studio thought it was crap. And you also see other indicators of that too when you have the fact that they just now lifted the embargo on the reviews from critics, because normally they want the critics to help almost market the movie for them by letting them see a screen early and then letting them release their review so that you can like drum up some hype for it like in the weeks leading up to the premiere of the movie. Instead, they more or less tried to keep a wrap on it. And like I said, with the Rotten Tomatoes score going back to that, you only had 77 reviews that come out since they lifted the embargo on the reviews on this, because that's going to be the best ones right there. The high ones are going to be the ones that they release first, or those will be the ones that you see first, and then it's going to slowly slide down since then. So by the time this movie actually comes out, I'm not right now it's Wednesday evening. I'm curious what will happen with this, how it'll look when we see it this Saturday. Will this still be an 82%? Who knows? But I'm suggesting it'll probably be much lower than this. But tell me what you think about all this in the comment section below. Do you think this is actually going to be a good movie, or do you think it's just going to be another one of those bombs? Fortunately for Warner Brothers, they have a couple big movies in theaters right now with Barbie and the Meg 2. So maybe that'll offset the losses of this, but it's probably not going to offset the losses that they experienced with The Flash and other DC movies that are set to come out right now. And if you like this video, make sure you click that like button and subscribe to the channel if you want to stay up to date with the latest news. Thank you.